the dealership world is going to be completely different in the next 5 years.
This is not a good idea. I'm going to tell you right now, this is a mandate.
Saying the connected vehicle, it's an iPhone on wheels now, right?
90% of that customer's buying journey happened before they even stepped into the dealership. There needs to be consistency in the people, the process, and the technology.
There's a lot of frustration from the customer that they're online, they're looking for the vehicle, right? And then they go in, to the store and the dealer knows nothing about them.
Welcome to the Strategy with Jason podcast. Tune in for everything you need to know regarding the automotive industry. Here's your host, Jason Harris.
Hey, what's going on, Automotive Nation? Hey, welcome back to another episode of Strategy with Jason, where I get to talk to, well, anybody and everybody I want to talk to who are actually moving the needle in operations and helping dealers across the country generate more consistent, you heard me, consistent revenue. Guys, I got a great guest with me today. I'm actually super excited for this individual. We just been talking a little bit before I started recording, and guys, we're going to be diving into some great topics. If you haven't already guessed, you can probably tell they're from Netsol. Just because the logo in the background, right? Anyways, guys, I have the one, the only, the oh so famous. He paid me to say that. I have Adam Bruttell with me from Netsol. Adam, how you doing, man? How's it going?
I'm doing very well. Great introduction, Jason. Excited about the podcast today. Yes. And I did pay you. Thank you.
Hey, this is why. Hey, guys, thank you so much for taking the time to join us today. We're going to have a lot of fun. Hey, guys, I got a chance to meet Adam actually on a golf course in Florida, and we just really hit it off. I learned so much about what Netsol is doing over the past few months, and I'm just excited to really kind of share it with you all today. And I think for anybody out there watching and listening to this right now, you're look at the beginning of a new year, or you may already be in the new year right now, and there's not a better time out there than to really look into your operations, your process, your people, and your technology, and make sure that all three of these things are really in line with each other. And me and Adam are going to be jamming about exactly that today. Hey, Adam, real quick, I love kicking off these podcasts with a little origin story. Okay. Because I'm just fundamentally fascinated. I don't think anybody just wakes up one day and goes, hey, automotive, that's what I'll do. So how in the world did you get started in this crazy little world we call the automotive industry?
Yeah, it is crazy, Jason. Thank you. Yeah, actually, I was on the financing side and the banking side early in my career, and kind of accidentally fell into the dealer world. I interviewed with the company Telligis, and I was going to do a co-branded card with those guys. They were a telematics leader. They were a disruptor. And they said, Adam, we love your background. We love how you build sales teams, and we would love for you to run our OEM division. And so I built a whole network and built relationships with Ford and GM and Volvo Macchino. So we were the first kind of company to do a direct connect to the onboard computer on the vehicle. And then after that, I've always also just loved cars. I've been a car enthusiast. So stayed in that world. We later sold to Verizon, and then, I got into credit and compliance and lot management, and now I'm in digital retail. So, once you're in it, it's hard to get out of it, but I love it.
That's the truth.
Yeah.
It is. But once it's in this is the industry, that once it's in your blood, good luck getting out of it, man. And that's pretty cool, by the way. I mean, being in kind of I would say not the connected car, the beginning part of kind of connected cars, right? And really seeing, you must be fascinated to see kind of how that side of the business has kind of grown over the years. And, it's pretty cool that was kind of your introduction into it, because, for a lot of us, we had some pretty darn high hopes. The technology is getting better. I still think there's a lot of opportunity. We still haven't kind of, I think, hit the ceiling yet on what we can do with that. But man, that would be a really cool way to kind of jump into the business. Hey, I'm curious. I got to ask, since you're a car guy, what was your first car?
My first car was I think it might have been a 1985 Saab Turbo.
A Saab Turbo. I would have never guessed that.
It was a $3,000 car that my mom gave me. And man, I have some great stories in that car. I think on the back it said it had air conditioning, and it was a stick shift. And so anyway, went to Galveston Beach many times in that Saab turbo. But that was my first car when I was 16. It was my $3,000 Saab.
Dude, actually, I admit, for car guys out there, some people might have been laughing about this, but if anybody's actually ever drove that Saab, that thing could move. Like, I just don't think people realize just that was a fun car. Little funny looking, but it was a fun. It was definitely a fun car. Hey, Adam, I'm kind of curious, man. Real quick before we kind of get into it, because you've been in the industry for a while. You've seen just kind of how the industry has just kind of moved and flow and ups and downs. And I'm just curious from yourself, man, like where do you kind of see like the industry right now? I'm just generally.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of conflict, right? It's, kind of what I was saying, the connected vehicle, it's an iPhone on wheels now, right?
It is.
And, I think there's dealer principals and GMs that are kind of embracing that, right? Technology and AI. And then there are other dealers that are having a hard time embracing that, right? And so I guess it's an exciting time right now, right? On a lot of dealers are starting to try new things. They're starting to adopt different ways of doing things. And so it's just an exciting time, to be in the industry right now. And I don't think anybody really honestly knows where it's going, right? And so, all the conferences, the Dealer Connect conversation that we were at, a lot of experts and, nobody it claims to know where it's going. So, but it's exciting. It's exciting to be in this business and consult dealers right now. And I think you're going to find that the dealership world is going to be completely different in the next 5 years.
You know what? I think I love the fact you said that, by the way, because I think dealers have been hearing that for a while, but I actually do think that this is kind of at that point. Here's the thing that I find, and I'm with you, because it's an interesting time. Like, and I know, I get it. You're out there watching, listening to this right now. You're like, oh, gee, everybody always says it's an interesting time. Okay, all right. The people, the technology, and the customer don't really seem to be in sync right now. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's just kind of like everything's kind of pulling, from an operations perspective, from a customer experience, guys. That's what I'm talking about. I'm really just kind of talking about that customer experience is just what the customer's expecting, what the dealerships, people are able to produce, and what the technology. Look, I know there's some great operators out there right now because you're watching and listening to this, and you have all three of those connected. But I'll tell you right now, I just got off of a trip about 9 months where I visited over 450 dealerships, and I would love to tell you a large percent of those had those three things in line. No, right? So, but I think that's why it makes it interesting, because it is a huge opportunity for, I think, new, let's call it, leaders to come into this space. All right, and really make their mark. It's because I think everyone's trying to now juggle the customer expectation, the people in the process that they have, and trying to adopt that and wrap that into a bow of technology so that it's all humming with each other. Anyways, I digress. Let's get into it. This is kind of my first question for you, right? I want to get into kind of the dealer pain points and where finance and leasing process are breaking down today. We got a chance to talk a little bit about this before we started recording, and I just thought this would be a perfect place. I mean, I know we could pick a lot of different places in the operational kind of circle sphere, but I think this one is a big one. What are your kind of thoughts on what are some of those pain points and where the breakdowns are happening?
Yeah, and kind of piggybacking what we just talked about, I think there's just a lot of mistrust and information overload, right? And so when you visit dealers, like you said, they think that the next new thing or the shiny new object, people have been talking about that continuously, right? But I think there are now programs that are connecting the customer with the dealer, right? And, being in digital retail, that true omni-channel experience. So there's a lot of frustration from the customer that they're online, they're looking for the vehicle, right? And then they go in to the store, and the dealer knows nothing about them, right? The dealer's frustrated because, when as their as their building process as a GM, right? The biggest thing you need is data, right? And so how cool is it when a customer comes in and through AI and through technology, now you can tell them, right? What is the best package? Is it wheel and tire? Is it gap? Is it, whatever those F&I products, now you can cater those towards them, right? And not exhaust them with data overload. And you can just get straight to the point, right? It's a more customizable experience for that customer. So they don't feel like, oh, I'm getting slammed with product overload. Like, this person listened to me. They're actually providing products that I need, and it's quick, right?
Yes.
And so, I think that, as we say in all sales, time kills deals, right? And now
is it time? Here's the question, because I appreciate bringing up time, right? Because I agree with you, there's a time element, but I think it's the overall experience. And this is where I think, which is so great about digital retailing, and specifically the tool that you guys have put together, because it allows that customer to kind of decide the pace. You know what I mean? Like, I can go a few stages in and then start having deeper conversations with people. I can go 9 stages in if I want to, and almost get to the point where I'm pretty much just picking up my keys and driving out the door, right? But I think that is the cool aspect of this is, what is the experience? Well, it's the ability for the consumer to choose the amount of time that they want to invest into this. I mean, look, hey, if a customer wants to spend 4.5 hours in the dealership, I guess I'm going to make a pot of coffee and get them a comfy chair. I don't know if everybody wants to do that, but hey, if they want to, we should have a piece of technology that allows them to do it. I want to get your thoughts on that.
Yeah, I definitely agree. You want a technology, like you said, Jason. If you spend 1 minute or 4 hours on the website, you'll be able to capture that, right? And so, in particular, our product is called Active Shopper. So, you're able to see where that customer journey started and where it ended. So, how cool is it that when that customer comes in, you know exactly where they looked on your website and what products they were looking at. And so it just makes it more efficient, and it makes it a much better customer experience.
Well, like I know you're saying it makes it a better experience. I'm going to tell everybody out there right now who's watching and listening, this is not a good idea. I'm going to tell you right now, just coming from me, because I get to say stuff like this. This is a mandate. All right. You have to offer your customer an experience like this. All right. Look, the shopping experience is one of the most important experiences for any customer out there. And guys, here's the thing. You're out there watching, listening to this right now. You're a customer. You literally have done this yourself, okay? You've gone out there and maybe it was a vacation and you were looking at a couple different hotels and you wanted to see what the nightly rates were and what the additional cost for this golf outing and that golf. And you were comparing everything side by side. Guess what you were doing? You were shopping. All right. Look, as an industry, all right, we need to acknowledge the customer's need for a solid shopping experience. I know a lot of you are so focused on the in-dealer, and it's good. I'm so glad you have that in dealership. No, there's a reason why you have a $10, $20 million building, right? You're getting the in dealership, but a customer needs to spend time shopping. You guys don't have to understand that 90% of that customer's buying journey happened before they even stepped into the dealership, right? So I think, kind of finishing off dealer pain points and where things are breaking down right now, as an industry, we need to be providing a better shopping experience. Adam, love to get your quick thoughts before I jump onto our next topic.
Yeah. I would say too, though, I was just visiting a dealer here in Fort Worth, Texas, and they're going through a 2 or 3 year construction process, and a high-end, high-line dealer, right? And so, another thing that's good is like a co-browsing feature, right? So, your dealership is going through construction. Or snowstorm or whatever is going through, and you have these high maintenance customers, you can actually co-browse and walk them through the omni-channel experience too, which is great. So I think that, hopefully COVID does not happen again, but you just have to be flexible on, coming into store, buying online. And so it's nice to have these tools in your tool belt when you need them.
Well, and look, I know for a lot of us, we call it a tool. I don't call it a tool. It's an experience. It is an experience that I think every dealership out there definitely has to have. And guys, again, I will stress this again, and we're going to get into this. I do want to ask you a little bit. That was a great example of a good high performing dealer. And I love, because man, you're out there, you're talking to a lot of dealerships, you're working with a fair amount of groups. I would love to kind of get some ideas from you real quick on just kind of like best practices that you've seen. Because here's one thing, and you mentioned COVID, which is good, because prior to COVID, all right, there were in dealership customers, and then there were digital customers, right? And some dealerships went so far to look at these two groups of individuals separately that they actually would make different departments. You'd have an internet department and then an in-dealership sales department. It's like, come on, guys. Guess what? They're still humans. They're just another set of people, all right? In fact, they spend more time on your digital dealership than they do your physical. Anyways, I digress. I'm going to... I knew I was going to do this. I knew I was going to do this. Let's get back to Adam. You're out there a lot on the road. What are some of the best practices that you've seen on some higher performing groups or dealerships?
Yeah, I think the ones, that are high performing are the ones that embrace technology.
Yes.
And just don't look at, the one thing fits all approach or one thing in the box, right? They embrace disruptors in the industry. They find that fascinating. They want to go with the new disruptor, right? And they're willing to also, they have different brands, right? Those seek different consumers, and they're willing to look at kind of what is the best technology that serves my customers, not what's the kind of the easiest, right? Or what we've done for the last 30 years. They know that the industry is moving fast, and they really embrace those disruptors in the industry. Mm-hmm. I think process is very important too. Training. The sales staff. There's heavy turnover, so it's like, as a dealer, how do I have great training, consistent process that is repeatable, that I can have new people step in.
You have
the last person left. Mm-hmm. And so, the key is having the right information. I think any good leader of any organization is hungry for the data, because if you don't have the data, you cannot make a good playbook, right? You cannot, it all starts with that. If you don't have the data, you're just guessing. And you're very inefficient. So I think that when you're choosing a vendor, who can give me the best data, right, that I can make the best decisions for my employees and my customers.
Actually, I'm glad that you bring that up, right? Who isn't a fan of Moneyball? And look, I love the movie. It's a great movie. If you guys haven't, if you only seen the movie and haven't read the book, you need to read the book. But all right, with that said, look, there is a group of people out there that do exist, maybe at your dealership already. Maybe you need to find them. All right, there is a piece of technology that can give you the data necessary, all right, to make sure that you have the team that can handle, and here's where I'm going with this, can handle the handoff. The handoff is one of the most important aspects of a dealership. And so the best performing dealerships I've ever visited, they're flawless at this. When someone transition from digital to physical, that handoff, the dealerships that are winning right now are executing this beautifully. And I'll give you guys a quick example, because I did this recently. I bought a truck, not too long, maybe 6 months ago, I bought a truck. All right. It was a horrible handoff. In fact, actually, it was so bad, I actually had to walk away and let them take another shot at it. I went online. I was so excited. Did all my research, found the vehicle, figured out how I was going to lease it. And by the way, guys, I didn't normally lease a vehicle because I used to be such a road warrior. I've never leased a vehicle in my life. All right. I came in already. Hey, here's the truck. Here's the stock number. Here's what I'm ready. Let's go. And pretty much everything that I had printed out, they're like, no, that's not real. Like, I pulled it from your website. Yeah, that's not. Anyways, I digress. But you can see exactly where I'm going with this, Adam, right? There was such a monster disconnect in the handoff that I finally said, hey, look, I'm going to walk away right now. but I'm going to give you guys another shot. All right. I'll come back in 2 days. All right. You have the paperwork, and it should just be like, yeah, that's what you saw online. Hey, here it is. It's all ready. It's exciting for you to take for a test drive. Let's go. But guys, that's what I'm telling you right now. The best performing dealerships and groups I work with and have seen right now truly understand the importance of that digital physical handoff, and they got a process around it. Okay, here, let's kind of keep it on the same thing. Let's say where dealers struggle the most, I think, is with consistency. I would love to kind of get your idea, because again, you're out there, you're seeing everybody, you're talking to everybody. What are dealers right now doing to kind of help stay consistent across maybe multiple rooftops and just maybe multiple brands as well?
Yeah, I think it's important. Their brand is the most important, right? So, and there is no, one fits all, product out there, right? And so you want to make sure that, if we give digital retail as an example, that it can follow your OEM colors of the website, right?
Sure.
Each dealer, what does the lead gate look like? Each dealer is going to want, or each rooftop brand might want a different, lead gate. They want each of the websites to be, set up differently, right? So you want a vendor that can kind of listen to your needs and your brands. If you have 50, if you're a large, group out there and you have 50 or 60, brands, Ford and GM and Mercedes and Volvo, all of those are going to operate differently, right? And so you need the kind of the flexibility of a vendor that's, going to listen to you or what you need and being able to cater to those different OEM brands.
100%. I mean, look, isn't that the most important things from a consistency perspective is like, and I see this happen online. Someone goes online, they maybe see, it could be messaging, it could be just the way everything kind of looks and feels. And then you walk into the physical, and guys, if you're out there watching this, I can guarantee you this has happened to you before as well, right? Maybe in travel, all right, you looked up this great hotel and, you're like, this sounds great. It looks great. And you show up and it's like, you got catfished. Like, this is the worst thing. And I see this happen a lot. I've seen some amazing dealership websites out there offering amazing transparent experiences. And then they show up to the dealership to find out that is not how they operate in the physical world. And I think that's kind of what, you guys are beginning to see the pattern here, right? Is that there needs to be consistency in the people, the process, and the technology. You got to find that piece of technology that wraps all that up. This is a perfect segue kind of my next question for you, because how technology should support a dealer's like playbook or process rather than replace it. I have run into this conversation multiple times being on the road. I'm sure you have as well. Kind of what are your thoughts on should technology be supporting? Should it be replacing? How do you feel about it?
I think that's a great question, Jason. There's a lot of debate out there, right? And so I think I seem to lean towards it supporting, right? This is an in-person, that's why I'm at dealers all the time, right? And that's why I love being around them, right? It is a relationship business, right? And customers is a relationship business. So you need the people, right? But you just need to be armed with the data, right? So, the training and with your people, you want to make sure that they have the right information, right? So instead of replacing them, I think your people are just going to be better with technology, right? And so now, instead of going back and forth between the tower and financing and running in circles and having the customer sit there, right? Now you're having meaningful conversations about the vehicle and the financing. And
yes.
And so that's where I see technology helping, recording the phone calls at the dealership, listening to the way that your sales staff and your customer service and your BDC can do even better. And there's millions of those examples, but I think it's, I had a leader that, early in my career that said, everybody wants to do good, right? We want less tellers and more showers. So your sales staff, they want to do a great job. They just want to know how to do better. And now we have technology that can feed them that information to be really good at their job And who wants to suck? Everybody wants to do great, right? And technology is going to help you and your sales staff just, be amazing. So I think, it's exciting. We need to embrace it. You and your employees don't need to think that it's replacing anyone. It's going to make everybody better at their jobs, and ultimately that means selling more vehicles.
Well, I love the fact that you brought up kind of keeping everyone informed, right? Because you want to talk about just really just putting, a damper on what should be a great experience is customer knowing more about something than you do, right? That's just, I'm always blown. It always got me a little upset, right? I always hate when someone said, "Oh, the customer knows more about the car than I do." I'm like, that's not acceptable. Like, that shouldn't be the way. Like, the customer shouldn't know more about the programs or the incentives or the lease rates or the finance options than you, all right, the automotive professional, all right, should know out there. And that's why a great piece of technology like this keeps everyone kind of on board. To your point, right? It helps, I think kind of levels everyone up. This is where I see it. It kind of levels everybody up, right? There's no excuse not to know what the programs are, and if someone asks a question, being able to answer it right there on the spot, I think just levels everybody up. And I know that high performers are seeing tremendous value in this because there's a speed element to it, right? They can get the information they need faster. How do you see, and I'm just kind of curious, how do you see this support, I guess, the higher performers, but how do you also see this elevating kind of, let's call them maybe my C players?
Yeah, definitely. I think your high performers are always going to seek that information out, right? But now, with AI and technology, the people, your C players that you need to make B players, right? You can feed them that information to kind of have that A player mentality, right? And so, GMs and GSMs are always battling, with training and time, because sales is the most important thing, right? And so to be able to give your sales staff information quickly, and I think it's very important too to have companies that you partner with at the store training, hand in hand, with them, so the combination of being in person training, also with the ability with better technology just frees your time up and makes your people, much smarter and give them the information to make right decisions.
Well, I'm glad you brought that up because I didn't have that on my list, but I actually think we should talk a bit about that because I think too often, you see a piece of technology and hey, for a lot of you out there watching and listening right now, you guys might be going to NADA or you maybe just attended NADA, and you may have saw some amazing pieces of technologies out there, but too often I'm hearing just kind of this like, here's a piece of technology, it's going to fix everything, the easy button, bink, here you go, Mr. Fix It. But Adam, you're right. I mean, I admire your guys' approach, not only to the technology, but to you guys understand that it's a people game first. The technology should only be supporting those people. Can we talk a little bit about kind of the training aspect that you guys bring? Because I know a lot of other technology companies out there don't do this, and I think it's cool that you guys do.
Yeah, definitely. We'll attend a lot of the Monday sales training when you're bringing in your sales staff and of course your marketing team. So during those meetings, we'll walk everybody through. We're obviously there, multiple days because people get pulled out of meetings for, sales or other priorities. And so, usually we're there 2 or 3 days sitting, with your sales and marketing team going through our product, right? And training everybody how to best utilize digital retail at their dealership.
Well, I think that's cool because you're not coming in with a defined process as much as you want to listen and support our process. And that doesn't mean that you're not going to bring in some best practices, I'm sure, because you guys work with dealerships across the country. All right. But it's cool that you're willing to partner. And guys, you've been watching my show for a while. You guys know how much passionate I have about, hey, vendors shouldn't be vendors. you need to find a better partner, right? Someone that's willing to partner with your operations and see true success. Now, that means for everybody out there watching, listening right now, you guys got to make sure before you get into a piece of technology like this, you must have clearly defined objectives. All right. Don't just show up and go, well, I'm just going to sell more cars. No. Clearly define objectives, then work backwards, right, to the technology, the process, and then the people that are ultimately going to support what your objectives are going to be in this new year. Anything you'd add to that real quick, Adam? Just curious.
No, I agree with that. Earlier, I talked about just kind of how we have a very customizable experience, and we treat every brand and every dealership different, right? And so it's not a one fits all type of product, right? And so
that's important.
I'm glad that you hit on that, Jason. So it is listening. It's, what does that particular dealer need? What does that dealer brand need? And then us customizing that omni-channel experience to make sure it's the best for the customer and it's the best for the dealer.
Now, I want to get into, and I love that, we keep kind of harping on the experience here. I really do, because at the end of the day, and I've been in some amazing dealerships. Like Adam, I'm telling you, and I know you have too. I've been into some truly amazing dealerships out there where it just seems like their people, their processes, their technology all seem to be in sync with each other, and staff are happy, customers are happy, bottom line P&Ls are healthy. It's amazing what happens when all three of these are actually like gelling well with each other. But I want to talk a little bit on the leadership aspect of this, because yes, you need good people. Yes, you need a good process. Yes, you need to have technology that supports all that. But there's something that just kind of wraps your arms around all of it, and that is the leader. And I'm gonna tell you, there's some great leaders out there right now, because they're watching. Right. And then there's some ones that really need to take a look in the mirror real quick. But I do want to get into what dealer leaders should be focused on, right, to kind of prepare themselves for kind of this next phase of automotive finance, because, man, we're going to get into a very, very interesting time. Actually, let's do that. Let's talk about what you think it is, and then let's talk about what leaders need to do to prepare that real quick. So let's talk some real talk about what's going on kind of in the financing world. I'd love to get your thoughts.
Yeah. I think what's cool about Netsol, we really, our DNA, and we cut our teeth on captive financing, right? And so that's a real key, when you're with a digital retail experience, is the financing side, right? And so you want to make sure that, what the customer enters on the website matches the experience of what is done when the deal is desk and it's ultimately sent to the lender. So that's kind of where our DNA is, and that experience is real important. I think, which is scary right now, right? The average vehicle is $50,000, the average used vehicle is $26,000. Yeah. We're just coming out of COVID. A lot of people are upside down. They're rolling in what they lost on the vehicle into their next vehicle. Payments are over $1,000, right? And so that's already a touchy subject right now. So you need to make sure that you have all the correct financing information, that you have all of the correct information from the customer to make that as painless as possible.
Well, and that's what I'm saying for all the leaders out there watching and listening, right? Because I think this is your responsibility. All right. It's one thing, like I said, to get the people, get the process, get the technology, but the leader needs to kind of have their thumb on the pulse of the customer and understand that there's going to be some tough conversations coming up. All right. People are coming in with vehicles with significantly negative equity. All right. If they bought a vehicle in the last few years, they bought it at incredibly top prices, if not in some cases, plus. And there's going to be some tack and definite leadership required to be able to navigate these conversations. And that's why you need a piece of technology like this, because that part just needs to be a checklist. You just got to be able to have, you want a linear flow. All right. You cannot afford to have these ups and downs like we typically do in a dealership. You guys understand what I'm saying by that, right? You're like, okay, you come off the test drive, everything's great and high, and then boom, let's go into a 4-square. Please, for the love of God, don't do that. Then we go, well, okay, we finally agreed. Then we're gonna take you to the F&I box, and it's just this up and down, up and down. Piece technology makes this linear, but the leadership aspect of this is you got to prepare your team. And I loved, Adam, you've seen some great leaders out there, I'm sure of it, right? What are some great leaders doing right now to just really prep their team for what's coming in this new year?
Yeah, I think, a lot of the brands are kind of struggling on the front end piece, right? The front end gross. I find a lot of dealers are taking a loss on the front end, right? And they're okay with that, in many instances, just because they're getting great information and they have a strong F&I product or they have a strong F&I department. And so I think that's kind of where it's going is we're losing 1,200 on the front, but we're making 35, 100 on the back. Also service is really huge right now, right? Having a strong service department gets you through these ups and downs. In any business, you want to have that repeatable, scalable success, right? And so strong leaders are looking at how can we have that sustainable, scalable success and not have those ups and downs, right? And I think, having a technology that has really good benchmarking and reporting that you can see, when I get these leads, what's my front end gross off the lead? What's my back end? What salespeople are working those leads effectively? My F&I managers, what, are they upselling 3 or 4 products per vehicle? And so you need that data to make educated, else you're accidentally succeeding, right? You might have some good months, you might have some bad months, but you don't know why. You're just pushing your people to meet those numbers, but you need the data to what we talked about earlier. How are you going to turn those C players into A players without knowing the data? And so I think one of the things that we do good and other companies do good is just giving that information that you can see.
And what I admire about you guys is, like you said, you cut your teeth in finance. So which is kind of cool, because I think a lot of other companies in your space can't say. You guys, you cut your teeth at kind of the end of that experience, right? The next one obviously would be the handoff to the service department, right? But you guys understand all of the stuff that has to happen, all right? Online, through the shopping, into the dealership, decision and negotiating, and to ultimately get to this very important element of then finally getting that over to a bank. But not only did you guys just help provide the technology to do that, but you're also collecting all the analytics and stats off of those every single stages and giving dealerships, I think, the necessary insights to be able to effectively adjust their operations from both a people and a process aspect to just do better. So guys, look, I know we're getting towards the tail end of our time. You all know, guys, I only bring on people here that I know will partner with your business. All right, that I'm confident that will add significant value to your operations. So you guys, if you guys don't have a solution like this, you absolutely need to check it out. And if you're watching this before NADA, all right, you can come check out the booth. All right, it's 7213 in the North Hall. So 7213 North Hall. Okay, got to come check out the booth. If this is after NADA and you guys are watching this, you just go to the website. You guys know what it is. But hey, real quick, Adam, before I let you go, for everybody out there watching and listening who would maybe love to kind of continue, because I don't think we covered everything here, right? It's a good conversation, but we got a lot to still talk about, who would like to continue parts of this conversation. Adam, what's the best way to connect with you so they can do that?
Yeah, thanks, Jason. Yeah, cannot wait till NADA. It's only a month away. It's going to come here quick. So you can, please send me an email at adam.bruttell@netsoltech.com. If you're able to pre-book a meeting, we'll give you $100. You can go and double that on the blackjack table or whatever you want to do. But we'd love to see you. We'd love to, kind of show you, how we are a disruptor in the industry. I know you guys have been hearing the same thing for the last 15 years. So I'd love to kind of show you, how we are a true end-to-end product with that captive financing DNA. We're able to do that.
Absolutely. Hey, for everybody out there watching, listening, we appreciate you. All right. Look, one of the biggest compliments you can give, content creators like us is to share the show. Look, I know you may not hit the like button. You may not put a comment down below. It's okay. But I will say the biggest compliment you can ever give us is to share the show. So if you have a manager, a coworker, a friend that needs to see some part of today's conversation, that means so much to us when you share the show. Adam, thank you so much, man, for taking the time to jam with me today. Really, really looking forward to seeing you at NADA. I know I'll be hanging out at the booth for a little as well. So everybody out there watching, listening, if you'd like to come by, say hi, definitely please do so. Again, guys, I can't stress to you, okay, this is not a good idea. This is a mandate. All right, to better your operations and the overall customer experience, you need to find a partner, all right, in the industry that's going to help you in this space. Adam, again, thank you so much for your time today, dude. This has been a blast. Everybody out there, you guys have a great day. Thank you. Bye.
Thanks, Jason.
Thanks for tuning in to the Strategy with Jason podcast with your host, Jason Harris. Remember to like, comment, and subscribe. Happy podcasting.